In the musty corners of a forgotten attic rests an antique telephone, a relic from an era long past, but some say it still rings with echoes of chilling tales. Tonight, we unravel one such tale, where the line between the living and the whispers from beyond blurs. This is the story of Sarah, whose peaceful life in a quaint cottage was upended by the haunting chimes of a phone that shouldn't have worked at all. In the stillness of the countryside, Sarah's cottage stood as a testament to bygone days. Among her late grandmother's possessions was an old rotary phone, its brass accents gleaming under layers of dust. She treated it as a keepsake rather than a device of communication. But one stormy evening, the air thick with the scent of rain, an unexpected ring cut through the silence. Startled, Sarah approached the phone. Without modern connections, this call was an impossibility. Or so she thought. Hesitantly, she answered. The voice on the other end was faint, distant, and unnervingly familiar. It was her grandmother's voice, or so it sounded. But it spoke in riddles and whispers of events yet to come. The caller warned of a danger lurking close, a shadow that seeks out the warm glow of life. Sarah's skepticism waned as the cryptic messages became undeniable truths, and her nights turned sleepless, besieged by the fear of the unknown. The calls didn't stop. Each night, at the stroke of midnight, the antique telephone would come to life. The messages grew more urgent, more personal, and Sarah found herself ensnared in a mystery she could neither solve nor escape. Desperate for answers, she turned to local archives and discovered a tale that chilled her to the bone. Decades ago, the phone belonged to an operator named Ruth, whose job was to connect the living with voices afar. But Ruth had a gift, an unfortunate one. She was a medium, a bridge to the other side, and the phone was her conduit. The lines became blurred between the calls she facilitated and the spectral whispers that sought her out, yearning to be heard. One night, Ruth vanished without a trace, leaving only the phone and a book filled with strange symbols and scribblings. Sarah pored over the pages, the writings of someone who reached out to the afterlife and found something reaching back. Her heart raced as she deciphered a message meant for her eyes alone. Beware the caller without a shadow, for he seeks the warmth you possess. The realization struck her, a warning from her grandmother perhaps, or Ruth herself, to shield her from a fate similar to the operator's. From that night, Sarah was no longer passive. She answered the call and challenged the voice, demanding her peace be returned. A silence fell upon the line before a cold, humorless laugh echoed in response. Sarah's courage wavered but held firm. She was tethered to this world, to the light, while whatever taunted her was bound to darkness, unable to touch her unless invited. The calls began to wane, the riddles and warnings turned to desperate pleas. Sarah held the line between her world and the unknown. As the final chime of the antique telephone faded, so too did the presence that haunted her nights. The cottage returned to its serene state, the phone silent and benign once more. But let this tale be a reminder that some messages, some voices on the wire, are best left unanswered. For in the quiet hours when the world is at rest, there may be calls that bridge the living and the lost, carrying mysterious messages through channels not meant for the living. As the line goes dead and the tale comes to a close, remember, should an impossible ring jolt you from slumber, think well on whether to lift the receiver, for some tales are best left untold, some warnings unheeded. So let us hang up the line on this story, with a mind more aware of the whispers that may come from the antique telephones of the world. Whether they are echoes of the past or harbingers of unseen danger, they hold stories that entangle the listener in their dark embrace. Good night, and may your only calls be those grounded firmly in our world, leaving the mysteries of the antique phone unexplored, its chilling tales untold.